Howdy ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast. This is episode 423. Detroit Lions are ready for 2022. It's our season. Let's do this. This is official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I am your dashing host, Chris, and with me is my good friend and co-host, Jeff Le Riz Risden. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. It's good to be with you. Good to be talking football that actually matters. I cannot wait for Sunday. I can't wait for Sunday.
I'm so excited. I'm already stoked for tomorrow, right? At least we have football tomorrow as we record this. We're 24 hours away. Got a lot to talk about today. Big V, who's going to be replacing Big V? What happened to Big V? The play calling mystery surrounding the Detroit Lions. We have a new coach. You may not have heard about that. Hard Knocks finale, that hit. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. We got a great show lined up. Riz, you ready to go, man? This is you, mystery man.
Hey, yo. I'm so sorry. I dropped the ball on that.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
Oh, we had such a great surprise pull.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Not my fault for once.
No. I'll take that one. I'll take it on the chin. I'll take it wherever you want me to take it.
People who have been around this podcast know that voice instantly. For those of you who don't, that's Case.
It's not the first time I messed up either.
Welcome back, Case. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you, gentlemen?
I think Riz is good. I'm pretty good also. Thanks for asking. We got a lot going on. Case just pinged us before, and he had a little bit of free time, and he said, "Hey, I got a question for you guys." I was like, "Well, pop on, man. Let's do this."
I do. I think I have a question that will incite some intrigue. So I don't know if you want me to drop it right now, or if we want to get in some things first, or
let's just do it. Let's go right into it. I'm interested in what you got.
Okay, so purely hypothetical, what would it take for the Lions to win the Super Bowl this year?
These nuts.
I'd do it. Thanks, Dan.
We gotta fix your drop buttons, buddy.
That's what it's gonna take. All right, boy, to win the Super Bowl, that's a big one. Riz,
win the Super Bowl. I can't even fathom that. I just want to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Don't misunderstand this question.
Wow.
Right. This is not UK saying the Lions are going to make the Super Bowl. This are like what would it take for that to make that happen, right?
Right.
All right.
Right.
We'll put the words miracle aside, right? But I think those are probably one of the big key pieces. But it would have to be
it's more or less like the best case scenario. Like, how possibly could things go so well this year that this team was a real, and I'm not saying that's a thing that's actually going to happen. It's just I feel like it's some good mental exercise.
So I think, and what do you think, Riz? I think it's something that absolutely would have to happen, like the 9-7 Giants kind of backwarding their way in, and then just outperforming all expectations. I mean, isn't that really kind of the baseline to get in and make it work?
Yeah, just getting in. If you're in it, you can win it. That's like buying a lottery ticket. You can't win the lottery if you don't buy the ticket. If they can get there and they get hot, we've seen teams get hot. The Giants are a great example. The Bengals last year are a great example of a team that wasn't the best in the regular season, but was the best in January. That's asking a lot, man. But if they get there, they do have a chance. That's the long and short of it. I would think they're going to have to get really lucky on the injury front, and every team says that. But when you say that, you're talking about, like, you can't lose half your starting offensive line, your starting secondary, your
Right.
starting quarterback, your number one wide receiver, and your tight end. And
Right.
they lost all that last year.
You have to sweep.
I feel like
Go ahead.
Green Bay losing Aaron Rodgers for the season would be one of those things that would be,
that would be helpful.
If Green Bay lost Aaron Rodgers for the season, then maybe it's a possibility.
If you swept them, I think you'd need to sweep them, and then he could get taken out by another team potentially, or he goes down. That would be something. Let's think about who else in the division, though. The NFC, you'd have to. The Rams. I mean, that's a team.
Rams are tough. The Eagles are tough. The Buccaneers are not going anywhere. I think the Saints are going to be solid. 49ers are not a joke, despite what they're doing with their quarterback situation, which is very much a joke. There's some good teams there.
Like I said, none of this was intended to be a realistic outcome. It just is like, what ultimately can you provide a step-by-step of how, in a weird alternate universe, the Lions managed to win the Super Bowl this year? And I think, you have to see an injury to Aaron Rodgers because he can't, there's no way the Lions can get past the Packers in the division if he's there.
J-Mo has to step in and just destroy, right? I mean, barring injury.
Trey Lance has to be absolutely terrible for the 49ers, how do we make it past every step of the way to be,
Yeah.
It's just an exercise in futility. I heard it was worth the talk.
I just want to get to a postseason where there's a legitimate chance to win, and I want meaningful games after Christmas, because they actually played 3 games after Christmas this year. It'd be nice if they had more than that.
I think that's big. And we talked about this a little bit last week. And one of the things that we really kind of think about is people's expectations on the team, especially, that last Hard Knocks episode was so good. We'll talk about that, but people are feeling, I'm feeling a real sense that people are a little overinflating what they're going to see out of the team this year. And I want to help people. We started a little bit last week, but help people keep those expectations in check. The idea that they bumble off their way like those guys, the Giants did, into the playoffs. Sure, it's possible. I wouldn't count on it. I just would not count on that being the way this team flies this year. And again, would love it. But I think, I'm probably on the high end, Riz. I'm like a 7 or 8 win kind of guy for this team, I think, this year. And I recognize I'm in the high end. And I don't want people to flip out and get mad at that. But the team's heading in the right direction and doing it in a way that they've never done that I can remember. Since Wayne Fonts, maybe, as far as building a team out.
The way that everybody is on the same page, and to steal from PJ Fleck, rowing the boat in the same direction. It's a cliche, but it's actually a pretty good one, because it's very apropos for what this Lions team is doing. Yeah, I picked them to go 6-11. That was my official picks. It's up at Real GM right now. Went live this morning. I picked the final standings for all 32 teams. I do not have them in last place. In fact, I don't think I have them with a top 8 pick. I think I have them as the 9th worst team, which is that's a big upgrade. And they're absolutely capable of doing more than that. But from where the injuries are already, which we're going to talk about, to the lack of serious high-end talent relative to some of the other teams that they would have to get ahead of, they just don't have that yet. They're getting there, and they have the capability of building into that. But I don't see it yet this year. Not quite.
Yeah.
Do you guys want somebody to be a downer? Because I'll be a downer.
Sure, go ahead.
I actually agree with Jeff 100% on the record prediction. But if they end up in that spot, number 9 in the draft, there are too many other teams ahead of them that will likely be looking to replace their quarterback that have the capital to do so, that the Lions will be in a difficult position to significantly upgrade the quarterback position if Jared Goff is not, if he is hey, look, like, I know that there's been a lot of stuff over this offseason that's positive about him, and I'm not trying to deny any of that. Like, I think he's a good guy. But if he ends up being the mediocre quarterback that we've seen out of him in the past, and the Lions win 7, 8, 9 games, that they're going to be in a tough spot as far as being the ones who want to draft a new quarterback next year. And as much as there are more options in next year's draft than there were in this last one, because this last one was terrible.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult for the Lions to come away with a new guy that's going to, inspire for the future.
Yeah, the Lions, with 2 picks this year, they've also got next year's pick. They've got ammo, I think, to be able to do some things if they're there. I don't know that they'll necessarily be at that point by the end of this year. I think they'll have a good push going this year, though, where they're at. And Steve Shattuck in the chat with winning the Super Bowl's away is way, but getting past Green Bay isn't as far, in his opinion. I think that's right. I think the overcoming Aaron Rodgers piece is going to happen sooner than later, just by Aaron leaving on one hand, or whatever.
Won't be a
else
problem
comes
much longer. But
yeah.
I cannot say this enough. The Packers have the best defense in the NFC.
Yep.
Do not overlook their defense. They're really, really good, folks. I hate to say that, but you got to acknowledge it. That's a defense that has playmakers at all 3 levels, and not many teams can say that.
Yeah.
I will just back to the quarterback for a second. Don't limit your line of thinking to the new quarterback to the draft. Russell Wilson got traded this offseason. Like, Baker Mayfield moved.
Yeah.
We're seeing an era where quarterbacks are more mobile and teams are willing to. Deshaun Watson got traded with all the hell that was going on with him. There's going to be some unexpected movement, and the Lions could get involved in that. Lamar Jackson, free agent at the end of the season. Doesn't look like they're getting anything done in Baltimore. You never know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but you never know. You can't rule it out these days. There are more ways to skin that cat than just drafting a new one.
I was about to ask you who you thought might be available next year. Lamar Jackson is maybe the number one option, but I don't know who else might be available next year.
I just had this feeling of like I was going to be walking around without any pants on.
That's right, Coach.
Give me Lamar Jackson. That'd be unbelievable. I would say that I also think there are a lot of quarterbacks in this draft that are interesting right now. We saw Anthony Richardson at Florida, who right now is a guy that's generally, not that mock drafts mean anything at this time of year, but he's generally projected as a late first round guy.
AR-15.
You're picking 8 to 12. Like, Stroud's going to go 1 or 2. He and the pass rusher from Alabama are the first 2 picks in the draft. There's zero doubt in my mind about that right now.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going on with Bryce Young? If people like a 5'11", 178-pound quarterback who wilts under pressure because he plays at Alabama, he's going to get a bump. I look at him and I see Vernon Adams. I don't even see Tua. So I'm a little not riding that train yet, but he's certainly got potential to shut me up and prove me wrong. Will Levis is out there. The dude from Boston College, Jurkovich, had a great first game. I watched some of that this morning. Like, this is a good year to need a quarterback, and that happens to coincide with the timeline where the Lions could, if they need to, move on from Jared Goff. I kind of like that idea.
I don't know if you guys watched the Florida game this weekend. I did, of course, because first one of the season, son, freshman, all that. Richardson, they calling him AR-15, was
he
fire.
Hates that, by the way.
Yeah, I know. He was fire, dude. He was fire. He looked really, really good out there. I'm like, this guy plays like that all season, and he's gonna be a big.
If you liked Malik Willis, but you wanted Malik Willis to actually be able to complete a pass that was shorter than 15 yards and also see over the offensive line because Malik's only 6 feet tall. Richardson's 6'4".
Yep.
That's your guy.
Definitely the guy. Any jackrabbits catching your eye there, Riz? Or Case?
No. I don't know anything about SCSU. If I can avoid it, I don't know about it.
There you go.
It's only
Was that who Iowa played, or was it South Dakota? I should know that.
The Zach Center is the only one, and he will always be the only one. So.
All right, Case. Hey, we're gonna get rocking. We're gonna pop through this. Riz, it's a big day for Riz. God, hey, let's hit this real quick. We just hit the Case, folks that haven't heard or didn't know. We've talked about it a couple times. So if you missed it, Case fell in love, wound up getting married, doing all the things that little guys do, and then in that vein, Riz's anniversary is today, and here he is spending it with us. What a good guy!
Yes, this was my happy anniversary, honey.
Also, his daughter
right outside that door.
birthday.
It's our 26th anniversary today, so kind of cool.
26.
I also saw that his daughter had a birthday, so happy birthday!
Yeah, my daughter's birthday. She turns 14 tomorrow, so thank you for that. I will let her know that you said that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, Case.
Seems like she's crushing it in volleyball. So
she's really, really, really good. She didn't get that from
that
me.
does not surprise me. She's got good genes. Yeah.
Yeah, she does. Definitely.
All right, brother. We will talk to you maybe as early as Friday. More to come on that. Case, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Hey,
Case.
love you, boys.
All right.
Thanks for checking in. We miss
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
We miss you, Case.
Yeah, I miss you guys too.
Case,
It was good to hear from Case. I miss that guy.
his timing was terrible on that joke, but it was great to.
I even pay, and you know how stupid I am at playing along with things. Like you have to send me messages and cue cards and flash it in neon lights or something, and I occasionally still drop it. I did my part.
All right, let's get into this Lions stuff. Let's talk Lions here. First off, Big V, Halapalooty Vitae. Halapalooty Vitae. God, I got that extra
There you
piece
go.
in there.
Halapalooty Vitae.
He's out with an injury. Really, really hurting some people's feelings, and I'm frustrated. Here we are starting out the season as we did. I mean, we talked about he didn't even play a snap together, the Big Five, and we're starting with Big V out this year. This really sucks, Riz. Who are they going to have in there to try to replace Big V?
That's a great question because Tommy Kramer is the most logical candidate, and he was out from practice today with a back injury too. That's not good.
What's up with all
So
these backs?
it's looking like Logan Stenberg time. Which, if we watched the last couple preseason games, hell yeah, man, give me that guy.
Yeah.
I just worry that the guy that I watched for 2.5 years before that, who stunk, gets out there. I don't think that's going to happen. And I guess Kramer was just limited, but I know Dan talked about, we can move Sewell inside, we can move Jack. No, what you do when you have an injury, you don't move multiple pieces. You replace the injured part. You don't make other places weaker to fix the injured part. You trust that Tommy Kramer or Logan Stenberg can fill in and handle their business. They both did it in the preseason. I thought Kramer played pretty well in the preseason. I thought Stenberg was phenomenal in the preseason. Yeah. Let's see if that can carry over. I hate to bring it up again, but I talked about it last week. I watched Wyatt Teller go from a guy that the Bills could not wait to get rid of to an all-pro right guard in the span of about 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. It can happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen with Logan Stenberg, but maybe we should see if it can.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely worth seeing. He's got a heck of a teacher in Hank Fraley. We'll talk a little bit about that and him in a little while here. But, this is especially against the Eagles defense. You talked about Green Bay, and I actually picked up Green Bay in my fantasy league around probably earlier than you would start grabbing defenses because they're that good, and I believe they're that good. Right there with them, saw it in the chat, right there with them is Philadelphia's defense. They have a good, strong defense as well, and I hate.
And their line is good, man. And I'll share this. I've done a lot of Eagles media this week, and one that I did, they talked about playing Javon Hargrave, who is their version of a Lee McNeil, except he's a little bit more seasoned, and playing Jordan Davis, their first-round pick, the guy from Georgia that a lot of Lions fans wanted, playing them together in the middle to stop the Lions' run game. And that's like, I don't want to say that's like that scares me a little bit, frankly, because they're really good on the outside. Now, their linebackers, they don't give a crap about their linebackers. That's the NFL way. They're not terrible, but they are a team that if you can't balance against them, you got Darius Slay waiting to pick a pass off. You got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back there lurking. They just got him.
Little do they know that Swift won't run up the middle. They're wasting that talent.
Oh, the worst runner between the tackles in the NFL last year.
Yeah,
there's statistical evidence backing that up. Unfortunately.
Yep. So you have that. I see a chat in the chat. Andrew saying he put Ragnow at guard and Brown at center. We've got Ragnow.
Absolutely not.
With a
no.
Ragnow. Let's just start with Ragnow with a groin injury. Limited practice. He was at practice, but limited. And that's a drag too, because Ragnow's so important. He, I think, plays, even if he's injured.
I do too.
He's a guy that played with a broken throat and didn't care. I see him on the field out there for this team.
I forgot about that. That's right. I totally forgot about it. Yeah, he did play with a broken throat, like a legitimate diagnosis of that. You do not move a player from a position of strength to a position of weakness to fill in a potential position of weakness. Then you're creating two potential weaknesses. Yep. He hasn't played guard in a hell of a long time. He hasn't practiced there at all. Nor, by the way, has Evan Brown. Evan Brown I don't think he's taken more than 25 snaps at guard all offseason. He is their backup center, period. So you don't need to do any of that funky movement. You don't move Sewell in to get Matt Nelson in the lineup at right tackle. I know they toyed with that. I think they actually ran a couple sits in practice with that today, but please don't do that. Just you've got one guy out. Don't shuffle 5 things around to replace the one guy. Plug in the guys that you think are capable of being a replacement. Otherwise, it wouldn't be on your team. Like what are you doing if you're bringing guys in that you don't trust to play in the positions that they're set for? Right. That would be a failure to me.
I'm wondering. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to figure out what game was it that Ragnow broke his throat. Said he didn't even realize it, and then at the end of the year, is December 16th. I have to look at last year's schedule to figure when that was. It was the game after the Minnesota win. Not only did he not realize it, and he still played, he was recommended not to play at the end of the year, and still went in and played with a broken friggin' throat. Ragnow will play. I mean, Grizzly Man outdoors, Grizzly Man indoors. I don't care where you're at. He's a Grizzly Man. he will play if there's any possibility. So I think we see Ragnow at center. I don't see him putting out to guard, as you said, Riz. All right. So there's that. Any other big injuries of note, Riz, that we want to kick?
I mean, Levi Onwuzurike is still out. If Malifonwu was back at practice on a limited basis today, that's a good thing because they're kind of thin at safety. If he can get out on the field and I don't know if he's going to go or not. I will be at Friday's practice. I was not there today. I won't be there tomorrow because it's my daughter's birthday. not missing that. But I'm kind of optimistic. From what I understand, he looked pretty good. So they're trying him out. Yeah. Other than Austin Seibert, he's not questionable yet. He was limited in practice. It's not good. It sort of helps explain why they brought Aldrich Rosas back on their practice squad as a kicker. Yeah. You got to have somebody that can kick. So yeah. And they did bring Darren Paulo back to the practice squad today. Saw that just before we went on and put that up. He played actually pretty well this offseason. So at least they have somebody who knows their offensive system that can come in and practice and not miss a beat. They don't have to teach him hey, this is our calls. He knows all that stuff already. So I'm glad that he was still on the street, and that would explain also why they cut Derek Deese yesterday from the practice squad. And I don't know if he left town. Honestly, I think he might still be lingering around Detroit. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Lingering around.
These nuts.
All right. Bring Tyrell Crosby in at guard. LOL. Don Burt. Don's great. If you watch him in any kind of show, he's hilarious. Love Don. Tyrell Crosby, the funny part is, and I'm only going to go this far, is the opposite of Frank right now with an injury. We'll just put it like that. Let's see. Again, I've work stuff get in the way. So
I hurt my adenoid, Chris. I got to sit out a week.
Work stuff in the way, so I can't stay. But thanks for what you guys do. Always great. Thank you, Jeffrey and Tina, members for 8 months of the DLP Winner Circle. Thanks for supporting us on the site like that on the YouTuber. All right. Anyway, any other injuries that we need to cover, Mr. Risden?
Julian Okwara looks like he's going to go, so that's good. That means that they have their top 4 defensive ends ready to play an Eagles team that stresses the hell out of your defensive ends. Yeah. I like that. That's good.
Yeah, that's a big one. All right, let's get into the Big Lions mystery right now. And I don't have any woo sounds, but there's a I can do this. We have a Big Lions mystery going on right now. And the question is, who is going to be calling the plays for the Lions this year? My, oh my, was Mr. Campbell coy when he was asked? The gloves are off. Nobody knows. I think we now have the ultimate strategic advantage against anybody who we'd be playing because they don't know who to look for to try to steal our signals. Right, Riz? maybe I'm overstating.
I really enjoyed how much fun Dan had with that question at the press conference on, was that Tuesday? Monday or Tuesday, one of those days. He was clearly enjoying himself, probably a little too much that early in the morning. Like he was, look, Ben Johnson called the plays all summer. We've seen no indication that he's not going to be calling the plays, but I kind of like what Dan is like, hey, I got the itch or the urge, whatever. I kind of like that he's still holding that out there. Like, make Johnson prove that he's earned that and proving that he can keep it. Like, hey, man, if you're not getting it done, I'm going to take over again. I think that's just my speculation on this. I don't know this. I think that's part of his rationale there in doing what he did is like, hey, man, like, yeah, I trust you, but if it ain't working, so what happened to Anthony Lynn last year. Like, don't get too don't get too cocky. Don't get cocky, kid.
I think a lot of it is just him putting as much smoke out there and being as Dan Campbell as possible. And when you look at, again, the Rams game last year was probably the first inclination that Dan Campbell is going to be a riverboat gambler kind of play caller, right? Where we're gonna our opening drive, right? Our opening kick is gonna be an onside kick, right? It's like, what?
Yeah, let's go for it on 4th down. We made it last time. Let's go again.
He wants to be unpredictable. I think the question about who's calling plays is almost exactly the same as who's making football decisions. Is Rod Wood in charge of the team? Oh, you know what? There's a lot of teamwork going on. I think there's a lot of probably talking about schemes. Someone will be the point person. It may not be the same person every game. It may not be. But somebody will be the point person for their idea of how they want to attack the team that they're playing against. There's a lot of talk that we've seen with Goff and some other people about the collaboration on the plays that they're built out in the playbook and how they're running the offense. I think this collaboration is going straight into how they handle the play calling. And frankly, we'll see how it plays out. I'm not concerned yet. I'm not concerned by this approach. I think it's innovative. I think it's new, and I'm interested to see how it turns out. I go back to the Patricia era, and I think about, how we were trying to build the 1986 Giants, right? We weren't innovating on anything. And what I like about this team now, and that's what made Sean McVay great, and the teams that have been great had something new. The RPO for a while was old new, and confounded offenses for a season and a half. The idea that we're innovating and trying something different, that's how you become one of those teams. That's how you get to that point, and you find something that other people don't know how to counter right away and have to figure out. I like it. I'm interested to see how it works and what it does for the team. Hopefully it's positive.
Again, they have options if for whatever reason Ben Johnson isn't performing satisfactorily, and I sincerely don't think that's going to happen. Dan can take over. Deuce can take over. that Mark Brunell has called plays. He called his own plays in Jacksonville for years and years. They gave him that sort of autonomy. If he didn't like what he saw at the line, well, we're going to my check. They got a lot of options there. I'm not concerned about it at all. This is something that about half the NFL fan bases every year go through. Like, oh, who's calling our plays? And like by week 2, when you're watching the game, maybe 10% of you will remember who's calling the plays.
Yeah.
Or it will be in your forebrain, your consciences up here while you're watching it. And instead of thinking about like, oh crap, why can't the wide receiver get open, or Goff quit throwing it, where you are, or oh, what a great run. It's just not something that it only comes up when it's a problem, and we don't know that it's a problem yet. And to your point, Chris, that's why I think we're probably more worried than we need to be at this point.
Overstinking it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, Bruce. So the Lions played 500 ball over the last 6 games of the seasons. Do y'all think they're not a significantly more solid team than then? Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think everybody got better. I think the Lions are better. And I think, what was it? 3-4 games that were by a fluky or a late score or within, I think there's a lot of opportunity for the Lions to make a big leap in the numbers this year. The ball has to fall a little right. They're definitely better. They're definitely going to be putting more out there. So we'll see. I think there's some good stuff coming from the team. I think in some ways people are going to be really, really surprised. A little bit nervous about the defense. Excited to finally get some football. I'm a little bit, frankly, Riz, I'm a little bit terrified that people are going to freak out by the result of week 1. And whether we win or lose, I keep saying this, week 1 is fool's gold. Don't bet your season on what happens in week 1, whether it's a blowout either way, the close game. Enjoy the football and give yourself 3-4 games this season to really understand what this team's identity is and what their approach is going to be and what we have as far as players on this team. You have to. It's a short preseason now. These are young guys, some new systems in place. There's a lot to get together. And I think Bill Belichick taught a lot of teams that those first couple games are knocking the dust off and kind of finding your grind as a team. So I just wouldn't put too much into what's happening here, especially in game 1.
Yeah, look, whether they win or lose, don't overreact. I know there's overreaction Mondays and that stuff. My old radio partner Jim Costa has patented that, I think. Look, it's 1 week. Remember, there would be 2020, week 1. The Jacksonville Jaguars went into Indianapolis and spanked the Colts. They did not win another game. It wound up actually keeping the Colts out of the playoffs that year because they went. I think they went 9-7 and needed that win to win the tiebreaker. So like week 1 is full of fluky outcomes. I'm writing my picks piece for Real GM. That's going to go up tomorrow. I do the football meteorology. This is year 17 of doing it. Week 1. My explanations are very like 1 paragraph max for every game because you just don't know in week 1. Yeah. And you don't want to, and the other thing is you don't want to overreact to it in week 2, especially if you're a gambler. And let's say the Lions come out and beat Philly. They're +3 in the turnover margin. They make all their field goals. They get a pick 6. God, wouldn't it be great if Aiden Hutchinson got a pick 6 or a strip 6 in his first game? That would be phenomenal. But I digress. And let's say they beat Philly 35-26, and you're thinking, hey, the Eagles, that team, most people picking them to go to the playoffs, and we just beat them. Like,
Super Bowl confirmed.
Don't overreact. I mean, it's going to feel great and relish the victory, enjoy it, but don't go thinking, hey, it's time to buy playoff tickets. It might be, but don't. Then you could go into Washington or have Washington come into Detroit and you lose to Carson Wentz and that team. You got to be real careful about how much weight you put into any one individual game.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's go on. Really quick, I want to talk about the comedy of it all. Everybody listens to us. Lions are doing a scavenger hunt to win games for the first play of the season. Nobody's ever done it, right? We talk about it a month later, like, hey, look what we're doing. Anyway, we got something bigger, better coming on October 14th and 15th. We're doing our 24-hour podcast for St. Jude, raising money. This year, we're going to get over the $100,000 raised mark to fight cancer and help families of kids with cancer. It's a big thing we do. It's kind of putting our hearts out there to help the world and, where we can do the things we can. we're putting together a worldwide global scavenger hunt. It's going to be a riot. In the next week and a half, we're going to open it up. Teams of 4. If you have a team of less than 4, you just have to pay the full entry fee. Everyone will get a shirt as part of taking part in it, and it's a great time. And we'll have live video on the show as the scavenger hunt goes on from people that are playing. We'll have winners that night, big prize packs, all that going on. So check it out. We'll let you know when tickets are available. But it's October 14th. It's a Friday, and it'll be a couple hours scavenger hunt raising money, all for St. Jude and kids who could use a little hand up at a time when them and their families really need it. All right, let's get into Sean Dion Hamilton. Boy, he is looking great in the backfield, or sideline. Sean Dion Hamilton is the newest coach in the Lions coaching staff. Riz, this is there's a couple things to talk about here in that pipeline from player to coach. There's that, but here's a guy that we thought was really looking up last year before the injury, and we thought this year he was going to come back and really make a mark at the linebacker position. And well, it looks like he is, but differently than we even anticipated.
It's a different role on the linebacker room than we thought. He didn't have the same juice that he had in 2021 before he got hurt. It was obvious. I think it was pretty obvious to him, obviously, because he's retired. He's elected to pursue his coaching career. I believe he's 25. He might be 26 soon. Look, this is a guy, he's been hurt a lot. He got hurt at Alabama. He got hurt when he was with Washington, got missed last year. Like, I get that his body, he has probably come to the conclusion that his body just isn't designed to play professional football. That happens. I'm happy that he didn't get hurt again to have that epiphany. And again, this is a guy, he's a football smart guy. He's a guy who communicates well with his teammates. This was a guy who was wearing the green dot in practice ahead of Alex Anzalone a year ago before he got hurt. And look, they gave him another shot to recapture it. It didn't work. Now he's going to help coach. We don't know the exact title yet, but I will say that there was no assistant linebackers thing,
right?
Coach on the team. So I would guess that's where he's going to be at. He's as currently an unnamed defensive assistant. By the way, we have to give Justin Rogers the credit for breaking the story.
Yep.
He tweeted that out. I quickly contacted somebody who said, "Yep, that's right." And there you go. So kudos to you, Justin, for being good.
The coaching roster, you had a DeLonga hole, so there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I guess that run. Okay, so we got that. Kevin, yeah, thanks. Hit that like if you would. Quick thanks to as his name comes in, B Hoffman 65. Thank you for the subscription. If you guys would subscribe, also like, we'd appreciate it. Usually ask about once a show. That's what we like to try to do, not go crazy on it. But it does really help us out, help us get found by others out there and help other Lions fans find.
I gotta get it online. I got it up on the phone here.
There you go. Helps other Lions fans find their oasis in the sea of silliness that's out there. Like, subscribe. Thank you all for doing that. We appreciate that. Big time for supporting the show. Sean Dion Hamilton running the sideline as a coach for the Detroit Lions. Again, you have a player who's coming in and brings in that credibility that so many other players don't. And we'll talk about it when we talk about Hard Knocks here in the finale, what the players said in their own voices to Brad and Dan Campbell about what they're doing, what they're building, and what they thought of them. And I think it says a lot. It says a lot about what they're building and the success of what they're building and their style in this team. It's really it's a window into things that we didn't see. I will say really quick, there's the one thing I got to play this really quick because it's great. And this will turn into a drop, I'm sure. Campbell just play like he's walking around the field and he can't help himself dropping jokes. Here he goes.
What are you pooping? What? Good.
What are you pooping? Huh? What? Dude. Such a great exchange. Oh, I love me.
No context, Dan Campbell is the best of Dan Campbell.
He's absolutely fabulous. All right. Really quick, this game is a sellout. standing room tickets on sale. It's the first time since what, 1962? Maybe not that long, but it's been a long
No,
time.
I know the answer to this. By the way, these standing room tickets are almost sold out as well. So if you want them, go get them now, because they might not be available if you're listening to the audio only version of this, which comes out, I believe, tomorrow morning on Thursday. They might be gone already. So you YouTube people, if you're watching and you want tickets, go now.
Go get them things. I had a seat and I couldn't make it to town, Riz. I feel so bad.
Oh, by the way, for those of you in the Slack channel, the Patreon Slack channel, the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet, there is a member who has tickets that can't use them and has offered them up. So you might want to check that out in the main chat.
There you go. All right. I want to also talk really quick about the ref, and we are going to kick off our game preview show on Friday again this week. So worry not. We will go in depth into what to expect, what to see from the Lions this week. It's every Friday. It'll be Friday, somewhere between 5 and 8 o'clock. We'll do it depending on everyone's schedules and work and all that stuff, how that comes together. But this week it'll be 7 p.m. We will go live with your game preview of the Lions Philadelphia Eagles game. But I want to get into one thing about that game here. The referee for the Eagles at the Lions, a longtime favorite of the local dry cleaning community, Brad Allen and the crew. Brad, if you don't know, is very fond of dirtying those yellow flags with grass stains. And
he loves to throw those flags, ladies and gentlemen.
And I'll tell you, you guys all know how much I was unhappy with Eric Ebron and his draft and his career with the Lions and all that. But the one time that I felt bad for him and he got completely jobbed by the refs was by Brad Allen against Tennessee. It was a complete phantom call for offensive pass interference that the ref didn't see because it did not happen. It was very clear that it didn't happen, but he somehow he saw the action of the defensive player and based on that, call the penalty that didn't exist. And there's nothing, Riz, nothing that makes me angrier than throwing a flag for a penalty that didn't happen, because you as a ref are now calling something you didn't see. If you didn't see it, you can't call it. And when something like that happens, it drives me nuts. It was a first down. It was like got the ball to like the 15. That was a game changer for us. Another one, from the ref, Brad Allen and crew. So
he is the guy who once threw his crew. You can't just blame Brad Allen for this. His crew threw 29 flags once in a Titans game.
Wow, that's insane.
Could be a long afternoon. He annually is one of the top 2 crews in terms of penalties thrown per game. He also calls, and this is an interesting one, his crew calls defensive holding more than any other crew every year. So you got to watch that. Now we know a pretty good idea about our cornerbacks. Darius Slay on the other side of the field. Like, I love Darius. So you're not going to hear me talk any smack about Darius. I still love that guy. I wish him nothing but the best. That guy holds all the time. So maybe there's a chance for the Lions to get a break there and have the crew actually be in their favor if they call the penalties the way that they have in the past. I don't know if his crew is intact from last year, but that was one of the things that stood out when I looked at it. By the way, if you're interested in tracking that kind of stuff, footballzebras.com is the place to go. Run by a former official. A lot of officials actually check it on there, and you can check all the stats from all the times. NFL Penalties is also a good resource for different crews and how they attack things. There's internet sites for everything, folks.
Oh, Rule 34. All right, and so really quick, how big a role will Craig Reynolds have in the backfield? We'll talk about that a little bit. I wouldn't see a whole lot from this game from him. I wouldn't expect a whole lot. First pick.
You might see him as the kick returner.
Yeah,
maybe.
First pick 6 of the season. Who would you guess, Riz?
Weird things happen. Remember when Quandre Diggs got that one?
Yeah.
First game of
first
the
play.
Matt Patricia era. Yeah. That didn't end well. It might be. I'm like, it might be. It could be Chase Lucas for all we know. You know what? I'm going to go Alex Anzalone because he's in there. He plays in the range where Jalen Hurts likes to throw to Dallas Goedert. And if he drops unexpectedly and Jalen doesn't see him, number 34 with the blonde hair could float right into the end zone.
And it'll probably be off a lineman's hand. You know what I mean? It'll be that little
Yeah.
tip up and drop in. I see that. That's fair.
Yeah. Dark horse candidate Demetrius Taylor, who gets his hand on a pass in every freaking practice.
Yeah.
How he made the team.
Yeah. He's good. He's good. He's got a bright future. All right. Else as bad as Glasgow got called for the illegal face to the hands against the Bears. Yep, that was a tough one. All right, we'll get into the next piece here. We got to talk about this. Did you see what's going on with Wendy's? With the whole, you seen the news?
No, I don't know.
When
These nuts.
What's going on
drag
with
across
Wendy's?
your face. You missed it again. I'm gonna do it again just for you. When did
These nuts.
drag across? I can't not. It's Campbell. I can't. Yeah. Okay. There you go. So we got that going on. We got the game preview coming on Friday. Don't miss that. And also Wendy's nuts drag across your face. I want to talk a little bit about Hard Knocks because the finale was great. We saw a lot. Rodrigo, Bruce is there talking about Rodrigo. That's going to be awesome. He could be a first pick potential as well. Continue that fantasy with those quads just bursting out of the jeans. I mean, he's going to rip some football pants this year, I have a feeling, but we'll see.
Ladies won't mind.
What a great episode. I mean, this is always a hard episode, the cuts, and it's always the sad story, a bit of a downer. I didn't get that as much this time. This was a different kind of final episode of Hard Knocks than the 17 seasons prior that we've watched. This really, there was a lot about that you could pull out of the team, the leadership, the players, the connection they have, and how they work this. This was really great insight, I think, about the team. And I want to start off really quick. A couple of quotes from guys that made the team and what they said when they're finding out they don't have a job. All right, and there's 3 of these I want to hit real quick. Let's do this one first.
I appreciate you guys too. I know it's tough, but thanks for shooting me straight and giving me the op. And the story's still being written for all of us. I wish the best for both of you guys. You guys are hell of a dudes, and I know your impact is even more than you probably know. So keep going.
Thank you, bud.
I appreciate that. It means a lot too, man. Thank you, man.
You too, man.
If you need anything, hit us up.
Always, no doubt.
Whoever says that to the bosses when they're being told they don't have a job? I mean, talk about a testament to the people that Dan and Brad are. You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, well, that guy's a kiss ass or whatever. He wants to get back. He wasn't on the practice squad. He wasn't offered a spot on the practice squad. They told him he was going to make it somewhere else, and they hope he does. And they said, I hope you ball out when you play against us, man. You deserve it. I mean, there's something there. There's a connection between Dan as a player. I mean, then we go back to Sean Dion Hamilton coming back. This player to coach kind of connection. These guys that have been there, it means a lot. And you could see that Godwin, his reverence, if you will, for Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell was really something to see.
It is interesting that he is still unemployed. And that's got to be thrown out there. The class with which he handled, and remember, Godwin is a guy. They came to him a year ago and it's like, you will not make this team at safety. We want you to try and salvage your career. Let's try to make you a running back. And they tried, and he just wasn't one of the 4 or 5 best running backs on the team. I wonder about that assessment, but that's their call. And I do think they were straight with him. And I think his appreciation for that is it says a lot about how this team and this organization treats its players.
And to be able to see this is the other thing from Hard Knocks. When Patricia was here, the word was out, and Diggs and Slay and everybody was saying, basically, don't go to Detroit. Don't play for that regime. They are terrible. Anybody who sees what's going on here as a player can look and say, that's a place where I'd love to play. That's a coach I would love to play for. That's an organization that's getting it right. And to make that kind of a U-turn that fast, that's a key piece of any kind of rebuild that you're trying to do, is to become a destination spot for people. And, you're fighting against, states like Florida who have no income tax, right? No state income tax. All of a sudden, you could play for the Rams, but it's a 13% income tax versus 0. That's a pretty big difference in your paycheck. So you're fighting against those kind of states as a team in Detroit, and this is good to see. This is good to see that they can build this kind of piece. We'll go on. Jared Davis. Here's a guy who had a hard time, drafted by the old regime, who left, went to the Jets, didn't work out, came here. Here's what Jared had to say.
Guys got a tough job, man, but thank you for how you guys carry yourselves, and appreciate the man you are.
Appreciate you, man.
All day.
Appreciate you.
All day. I'll catch y'all later, all right?
All right, JD. Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate the man you are. To the guy who's letting you go. It says a lot. It says a lot about the character.
It absolutely does.
And we'll get into one more guy. Had a little conversation with him on his way out. He was done. He was leaving. And he stopped and turned to say this.
And by the way, just to say, I just appreciate you having me here. And, you know, man, like I told some of the guys in the locker room, like I see what y'all doing here, both of y'all. You know, you're building a winning program, but also you're building a culture where man can be themselves. And I see that. I appreciate that. So,
Appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
have a good day.
We'll see you.
So he's right, and he's on his way back to the practice squad. But the idea that you can be the person you are there is huge, and it's when I started my new job a year and a half ago. You bring your whole self to work. We hired you for who you are, and that's the person we want you to bring to work. That's a big statement. That means a lot, and you know, as a person, you know, as an employee, you love to hear that you're appreciated for who you are and what you bring and all of your specific experiences. And that's basically what he was saying right there. And I love it. It's a great way to go through a job and a great place to work as an employee, rather than have to cover whatever it is that you're doing that you don't want people to find out because it's not professional or whatever else. So good for him, good for them to build out that. And you saw it over and over in Hard Knocks this week of what these guys brought as far as organizationally and what they bring inside, as far as how they run this organization and what the culture is inside. And that's a huge turnaround from where they were a year ago with the Patricia regime, or in a year.
Hearing Jared Davis, and he had to have been a tough cut, man. Playing wise, it was easy to cut him. Like he clearly wasn't one of the best 53. He was not one of the best 5 or 6. He was one of the top 6 linebackers. They got somebody else who was better than him also. But man, the history that he has with the team, the history that he has, the friendship that he has with Alex Anzalone, the ties that he has, like, that's hard, man. He gave everything that he had, and it just wasn't good enough. And I do give Jared Davis some credit. I think he knew it. I think he realized it. And he's back. He's back on the practice squad. That's something that Dan talked about in his press conference this morning. After all of us had watched it last night, he got asked about the strength of the team. Is the team?
Yep.
Seems like we've heard that from Bo Schembechler before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Maybe? They play it before every Michigan game a lot. The team before their egomaniacal head coach makes everything about himself.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
And then we saw a lot from Campbell. This is what he said about losing Blough. Blough, they wanted to pull back on the practice squad, but the Vikes picked him up, as we talked about last week. This is what he said.
You saw we lost Blough to Minnesota. I know. It's like the worst. Like, that's the absolute worst that could have happened. No, just because I think he feels like this is a dead-end street here. We're there. He may still have a chance to compete as a number 2 eventually. So I just talked to him. He was, it was hard, and he was shook up. And I told him, I said, hey, man, I get it. I understand.
There you go. That's a player talking to a player, right? That's Campbell having been there and done that, and that gives Blough reason to pause. Shook up about making the move, which is the right move for him, right? It kind of hosed the Lions a little bit. It's why Tim Boyle is on the practice squad, but and I like Tim Boyle as a person a lot, just to be clear. But it jacked up their plans, and he knew it. But he went that way, and he had the conversation with his former coach. There's a lot of respect there, right? There's a lot of respect there.
And I am, for one, I'm not worried about David Blough divulging the playbook to the Vikings defense. That by the time they play them, there's enough film out there that, like, you can get maybe a little bit of an advantage. Like, you might understand their audible calls or their signals. If the Lions don't change it by then, by the way, they deserve to get burned by letting him go. The thing that I don't like with the Blough situation is this is a guy who made the initial 53-man roster comes in Wednesday morning and finds his replacement is sitting next to him in the freaking auditorium. Yeah. That's crap, man. When you make that initial 53, they need to do something to ensure that you're still on that roster so you don't go through what he did. That's not a Lions thing. That's an NFL thing. I talked about this on the Huge Show when I was on it today.
Yeah.
If you make that initial 53, you should be cut proof for 2 weeks. Like, that's your roster. But you can claim guys off waivers, find a way to stash them somewhere on like on your practice squad so they come up, or but if you make it and you get cut and you're not hurt, that's wrong, man. And again, that's not a Lions thing. That's an NFLPA issue. And I know the NFLPA has had some people grumble about that. J.C. Treader, when he was with the Browns, was the NFLPA president. He talked about it a little bit about it. And he's like, it's just not something that has been that hot button of an issue because it hasn't happened to anybody important yet, is what he was effectively saying. David Blough's not going to be that effectively important. But I hate that you can do that you can make the team and you're celebrating and you're happy. Oh, yeah, I got it. And then the next day you come in and like, sorry, we found somebody better than you after we told you were good enough. That's bullshit, man. The NFL's got to stop that. I don't like that at all.
All right, I have a quick quiz for you, Riz. And here to finish that one off, just reference that.
The bullshit.
So there you go.
There you go.
I think you'll answer this quickly. This is arising out of the chat. But I want you to tell me, this is about a quarterback. Who is the most overrated, unproductive piece of crap that is loved by simpletons, simps, and idiots that's ever played in the NFL?
Why are you putting this on a tee for me? I'm wary now with all these D's nuts things. Yeah, he wore number 13 for Miami.
There you go. Just
and it's really not a close competition.
Yep.
Just I'll say this, and we've had this conversation. I'm taking you back to the Loda Beer Garden in Mobile, Alabama.
Yep.
With poor Chris Spooner sitting next to you. And a lot of friends with us. And I said this, I was drunk then, but I'll paraphrase. If you take Matthew Stafford's career and Dan Marino's career and you switch Dan Marino's second season with Matt Stafford's 10th season, they're the same freaking guy. And there's not a person in the world that at that point thought that Matthew Stafford belonged anywhere near the Hall of Fame. But Dan Marino, greatest player ever. Went to a Super Bowl team that was in the Super Bowl. Never got back but once. 3 straight defensive rookies of the year. Everybody, and nobody blames Dan for crap. He's so fucking Teflon. You got me going. Getting me agitated on my anniversary. I hate how overrated he is. Doesn't mean he was bad. I'm just saying that if you've got him in your, like, I'll use the line I've used this several times. If I need a quarterback to throw a pass, Dan Marino is in my top 3. If I need a guy to lead my team, he's not my top 30.
Yep. All right, we're gonna get that. We got that. Hey, Sandman, you got it, brother.
There you go.
See you. Let me.
I think Sandman was at that table, by the way.
He was. It's a poor Spoon. We were both ready to step in. I
love Chris, man. I felt so bad for him.
All right, last of the pieces here for Burrito the Goat. Oh, man, that guy's a towhead. All right, let's get this last piece of Campbell reflecting on the 2 days of cuts that had to happen.
How are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, if it doesn't hurt, it's time to get out of this business.
Yeah.
I'm better.
Yeah.
I'm better than I was yesterday, the day before. 2 days of the worst. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, so there you go. He's not a liar. He's, these are the kind of behind the scenes looks. He's not, putting it on for the camera there. That's what you get. I want to talk though, and Sandman being in the chat right now is ideal because we all kind of landed at the Senior Bowl same time. I think it was Hank's first year with the Lions, and he's the Senior Bowl, and we all said, holy crap, this guy gets it. And he's lasted, through the Patricia years, into now an absolute perfect fit. Almost lost him to the Steelers. We've talked about that. Absolute perfect fit. Hank Fraley. This is a highlight that I just had to put in there because Hank After Ease gets notified that he's not, making the 53, Hank still spends time with him one-on-one and does, what a man does, right? And he starts talking to him about what it's going to be, what things are going to look like, and what's expected of him. He isn't letting him down easy. He's setting the expectations, but he's also giving him what he needs to know to be able to achieve and be successful. That's what a great leader does. You don't just throw someone, go do this. You tell them what success looks like. And I want you guys to hear this, because this is a lot about what we saw with Hank there at the Senior Bowl that just put him on the radar as being very, very special at what he does.
You're a lot better than you were when you first got here, right? Going forward, though, what's expected, this isn't like a scholarship, right? It's not like, hey, you're here for the whole year or all that. I want you to make sure you put your head down and grind, man. You have a lot of ability in there. You got God-given talent. You got length that everybody wants in this league. But you got to just every day try to put it together. And every day it should be, what am I going to get? Take something, like think of something that day. That's really what I'm going to concentrate on. Like, I'm going to really concentrate on my first step in the run game. So. And how do you that should be written down in your notebook. I'm
He's
just saying,
already pulling his notebook
like
out.
Daily, you know what? I'm going to concentrate, really throwing both my hands and pass pro. Like if you think of that daily, one thing that I'm really going to concentrate on, and you do that daily, you're going to become a hell of a player. Yes, sir. But it's not going to come overnight, but it's going to come over hard work, and you got to be willing to put it in more than anybody else in here. Yes, sir. And you shouldn't let anybody outwork you. Anybody. So I'm glad you're back. I think you got talent, but I want you to be like, man, don't bring anybody else in this building, because I want to be the next guy in.
There you go. I mean, seriously, if you're sitting there, just kind of translate this to your job, what you do, and your boss sits you down and tells you, you're on the verge of getting fired, and tells you what's expected of you in this way. I mean, this is it, right? This is a coaching session. This is absolutely coaching somebody up and trying to get something out of him. He's got all the tools. He just doesn't have the time in the game. And this is a coach that sees that. And I think if I were to kind of project a little further, I think some of the other coaching staff is doing some evaluations of Frank on what he can do with this raw talent, because you heard, we didn't have it here, but Brad talked about what they expect, and it's player development. They expect, and they are big on player development there. This is it. This is Hank. Develop this guy. What can we get out of him? Get the most out of him.
Absolutely. Just one of the things that struck me last night was the Dan Skipper conversation. Like he gave the best. Like I've seen a hell of a lot of Dan Skipper over the years. Dan Skipper was the best Dan Skipper he could be this summer.
Yeah,
and that was tough.
That was a tough cut. And he asked, what could I have done? Is there anything I can do? Right. He's on the practice squad. I'd love to see him there, because I think Dan's another guy with a lot of talent and a lot of potential. And that was a tough cut. He's, again, another dude who's a really, really great guy. Like, to see him interacting with the fans at training camp, and just a great dude. And he didn't have to. He didn't have to, but he did. I mean, it's there's something about this team and these players.
And he is a guy who would have had other options if he wanted them. Like he's been around the block a long time. He can play either tackle position. Showed up pretty well this summer. He's better than some guys who made some teams.
Yep.
But he chose to stay in Detroit after that. Mm-hmm. I think that says a lot about the culture. A lot of times culture gets talked of derisively. The Lions have a culture, and he's part of it, and he's wanted to stay part of that.
Yep.
That's saying something. When guys in the past would get cut, like their agent is calling 31 other teams, please get me the bleep out of this here. And that's not happening anymore. That in and of itself is progress. And it's unfortunate that it has to be considered that, but that's where we are.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, there's another one here that I want to put, and this is towards the end. Dan Campbell was asked, the 2022 Detroit Lions will, and then he had to answer that. And there's, it's more than a pregnant pause. I mean, unless you're talking about quintuplets, but I think the weight of this moment means something. So just take a second. This is probably the longest period of no sound you're going to hear on this show, but it's worth it for the effect of the moment.
The 2022 Detroit Lions will.
Number of ways I can go with that. The 2022 Detroit Lions will be the team that can and will.
That's it. 3-second answer, 50 seconds of thinking to get that answer. But it meant
He's trying to give an honest answer. I love that, Chris.
Yeah, that was. I mean, he could have gone a number of ways, like he said, right? And I'm just thinking, like when I was sitting there watching it, I'm like, I would just have flipped it back and said, the 2020 Detroit Lions will, and make it a statement instead of a question. That's what popped into my head. But I like where he came up with it. I like where he landed. That was well done, and he truly thought about that. You know what I mean? He was the gears were churning in that moment. He wasn't just doing that for a moment.
It was clear that he didn't anticipate the question and was searching for both an answer that wouldn't cause controversy, but also like would show that he was thinking about it and was sincerely answering it. And I think he did a good job with it.
Yep.
I don't know if he could have done any better than that.
And then and you go from that, and you do want to talk about getting the real Dan Campbell again behind the scenes. No, macking for the camera or anything. Here's him. I think he's questioning his self with the things he's saying. But check this out. Oops. Wait, come back. All right, here he comes. Sorry about that.
Start calling Juju cinnamon sticks. Cinnamon sticks. This guy.
It's like cinnamon sticks. This guy. He's talking about himself. Oh God, it's great. And then of course one of my very, very favorite, and this one is definitely going to turn into a drop, just the first part. But
Are you pooping? What? I'm good.
Dude, are you pooping? Woo, that's great.
Oh my goodness.
The thing that I learned from Hard Knocks this season, couple things. One, I just want it every year. I want the Lions on Hard Knocks every year. I used to be worried and nervous about it. I loved it. I absolutely loved seeing my team in that way and get the what's going on and understand. But I think the other thing we saw is, and you guys know this is, whatever, but we saw servant leadership. We saw what they meant back when everyone was squealing about who's making football decisions and had no idea what they're talking about or how this team was going to run. You saw the fruits of what they were doing and the mindset that they had when they were putting this out there, and people just didn't get it. And I think think of yourself as an employee. Who wouldn't want to work in an atmosphere like that where your supervisor knows what you do, has experienced what you do, and can empathize what you do, but still expects you to do a good job, right? I mean, there's something to be said for that.
It was such a great exemplification of what you preach on the servant leadership front, and the fact that they embrace it and they showed it numerous times throughout the series that that's what they're all about. That was for me, it was validating. For you, I'm sure you felt the same way too.
I just want to be there. I want to go work there. I mean, that's that kind of. I mean, my job where I'm at, we very much have in my space is we kind of live and die by that, and we're a happy group of people that do great work. It doesn't exist everywhere, but people want to come work for us. People want to leave the other parts of the company and come to where we're at because they recognize what it means. And anybody, anywhere can be a leader, no matter where you work and no matter what level you are. You too can be a leader. So just think about that and how you approach these things, because it makes a difference for you and the people around you. What does Wayne Fonts think of this team and staff? We will ask him. You will ask him. Yeah. I'll ring him up. He lives a couple miles down the road, 2 doors down from my friend.
Meet him at Smoothie King. Bring him a cigar. You're set.
We'll have him on again. And we have some other plans actually with Wayne. So we'll do that here in the next 2 months. We'll have some coverage with him. It's going to be great. Got some really good stuff we're working on as well, and we'll talk about that here in the next couple of weeks and launching that. And then there's a whole nother super cool thing we're working on, and I saw you in there, Sam. Man, we'll talk about that very shortly too.
Oh, I know this one.
It's so cool. So. Got a lot going on. With that, hit the like, subscribe for everyone that's there. We appreciate when you do that. It helps us out, helps the show out. It's free. You can do it just in a quick second. Want to also say big thanks to Steven Edwards for his subscription. Thanks for doing that for us. Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com hooks us up. Fanatics.DetroitLionsPodcast.com hooks us up as well. It takes you straight to Amazon, straight to Fanatics to get all your Lions or U of M or Gators gear. Hook it up, good stuff, and we get a little piece of that. Take that money out of Bezos' pocket and put a couple pennies in ours. Looks like Dolphins are predicting 2-15 ceiling for the team. Good luck. Maybe with Dan Marino, you could get to 3 wins. All that stuff going on. Thank you, everyone. We're going to call that a show. Riz, thanks a lot. Happy anniversary, my man. Remember, don't forget about us on Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Get access. If you get in there for about $5 a month or more, you get access to the Slack chat where we have a ticket exchange. We've got all kinds of great stuff going on. Really cool stuff there. Also follow us on Twitter at Jeff Risden, as you see there, and at DET Lions Podcast, DET Lions Podcast, the very, very best place to see us pants free and doing our thing.
I just had this feeling of like I was going to be walking around without any pants on. I wanted some fucking pants, but I didn't have pants. This is all I had in my locker.
he's tell me he doesn't listen. Tell me they don't listen. Also, give us a call on Skype.
He's in the chat somewhere under a pseudonym. We got to smoke him out.
Oh, man. Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word, Detroit Lions Podcast, or call us in the Lions line at 929-33-LIONS, 929-335-4667. Give us a call, leave a message. We'll get you on the show. We'd love to have you on the show. And look, the drunkier you are, the funner it gets. This week, we've got our game preview on Friday. We've got our live post-game show right after the game. Don't miss that. It's going to be a riot, I promise you. We'll take your calls live, do all that like we normally do. Be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Subscribe to the podcast. So, Riz, what do we do when you do that?
That way I can come into your ear hole automatically.
Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no problems, and no Dolphins fans, because we're your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection. Thank you, everybody.